Hi everybody, it's me Jill and welcome to Jill Informed. This is the recap of The Real Housewives of New Jersey, Season 10, Episode 16, Family Reunion. You guys, it is the Season 10 finale. It's here. Part 2 of the cliffhanger to end all cliffhangers. Well, no, it wasn't really a cliffhanger because we heard Danielle say that Teresa encouraged me to do it. But it's a cliffhanger in the sense that we haven't seen the ladies confront Teresa yet. So let's not waste another minute. Here we go. First, let me just say that Bravo is breaking ground all the time. And so for the first time ever, the finale is split into two parts. It is one half typical Housewives finale episode and one half like a, I don't know, maybe like a community theater version of Marriage Story. Like if the budget didn't allow for ScarJo and Adam Driver, and instead we had to have Teresa and Joe Giudice. That's what's happening in the whole second half. It's a bit of a tearjerker. I'm just going to warn you now. But let's talk about the first half. The show opens right where we left off. In fact, we are jumping back a minute or two so that we can get the whole story again. Melissa is having lunch or whatever, smoothies with Danielle. And Danielle drops the bomb that she was influenced. I was influenced. Steve and Dan told me to pull her hair. And I hesitated. And I looked at Teresa. And she said, yeah, do it. Then Melissa's like, so you're telling me that Teresa told you to pull Margaret's hair? Like, Melissa is like getting this all down on record, you know. And she said yes. And then, Bravo, you sneaky, sneaky little queen, you were saving this. You were holding this in your back pocket. And that is when we get never before seen footage in the boutique. Now, you know what we didn't get to see is Steve and Dan actually suggesting that she pulls her hair. But what is wrong with you, sir? I was so sympathetic toward you when they were breaking $650 candles, and I was like, oh my gosh, that poor owner probably never bargained for this. But oh, no, I was wrong. He bargained for it. In fact, you guys, do you remember how I pointed out that the champagne glasses were plastic? Yeah. I think he planned for some kind of melee, some kind of brouhaha to happen. I think that was Steve and Dan's plan all along. I mean, I don't know if he came up with the plan, but he definitely knew it was going down in his store, and he was fine with it. I think this was even Martha that brought up that she thought it was odd that they even talked about how expensive the candle was beforehand. Almost like we were being set up to know that's a $650 candle. And then when we see Danielle pouring Margaret's bag into the lit candle and then picking up the other candle and throwing it and then just like smashing the candles. Yeah, that was a manipulation. That was so the impact would be greater for us, right? Oh my God, she did it. And oh my God, those candles were so expensive, right? It just adds to the whole shock value. I mean, I might be slow, but I do catch on eventually to all these tactics. Anyway, at the restaurant with Melissa and Danielle, if you guys were like waiting with bated breath to hear what Melissa's reaction to that was going to be, yeah, that's a bit of a letdown. Because all she really says is, I am in shock, and you can be certain that I am going to tell Teresa what you just said. And Danielle's like, you know, like, I figured that. You know, Danielle knew what this was going to mean for her, and she still did it. You know, for her to go against the one person that was keeping her on the show, it had to be that she saw the writing on the wall. She knew that Teresa was going to turn on her, that Teresa couldn't keep it up for a whole nother season or something, and that all the other ladies were refusing to film with her. So I think she kind of knew that she was out either way. And, you know, this is Danielle. So rather than go out with a whimper, she went out with a bang. Which is kind of what I appreciate about Danielle. And what I'm going to miss about Danielle. Frankly, I know, sorry, side note, you guys cannot understand why I like Jennifer. The fact of the matter is, she is an obnoxious human being. When I say I love her and I want her on the show all the time, it's because she's not my friend. None of these women are my friends in real life, nor would they be. I would never hang out with these people. I wouldn't hang out with any housewives. I'm just telling you that right now. I don't want that drama in my real life. I am happy to have the drama on my TV. So if you're bringing the drama and if you're being obnoxious and crazy and evil, I like it. But I think that's where the confusion comes in, where people can't understand how I could like her because she's so loathsome. Of course she's loathsome. That's kind of why I like her. Side note number 2, so much controversy over the fact that I thought it was funny that Jennifer said you can suck a bottle, but you can't suck a dick in mixed company out in a restaurant. It's because it's a TV show that I found humor in that. Jackie didn't just tell her girlfriends that she and her husband don't go down on each other. Jackie told the cameras and anybody who watches The Real Housewives, and that includes her family, her parents, her siblings, her aunts and uncles, one day her children. She did that. So it isn't like, oh, she just told her girlfriends and now Jennifer's repeating it in front of the husbands. No. You all say it all on camera. All bets are off. It's just how I felt. I mean, listen, it's not like I think it was the funniest joke I ever heard. I'm not going to go down and defending it to the ends of the earth. But was it amusing? I mean, more amusing than Jackie standing up in the middle of a restaurant and challenging anyone at the table to chug a bottle of beer. I wouldn't do that in public either. Anyway, in my own defense, I would just say, I don't take any of it that seriously. Okay, moving on. The most disappointing part of this conversation is that Melissa appears to almost immediately cut Teresa some slack. Because she said, well, if that is true, it just proves my point that you're not good for her. That she's making very bad decisions around you. Okay. We're blaming Danielle for Teresa's bad decisions. I mean, don't get me wrong, Danielle's not good for anybody. Being around Danielle is probably not good for anybody. But you cannot blame an adult's decisions on another adult, you know? Danielle's response is just that Teresa probably felt like she was protecting me. Because for 2 years, Margaret came after me. 2 years. And I'm not going to take it anymore. All I remember is what an obnoxious bridezilla you were, and that Margaret pretty much went along with everything just so you could have a decent wedding day, even though you were horrible to her and all the others, to be honest. Everybody go back and watch that episode if you don't remember what I'm talking about. Danielle was the worst. Anyway, Melissa just tells Danielle, you know, don't think that I'm taking Margaret's side over yours, but it's just that I'm taking off my rose-colored glasses and it's gone too far, Danielle. You cannot put your hands on people. So that's it. And she gets up and leaves. Okay, back at the beach house, all the guests are arriving. It's Melissa's mom and her sisters and Marge Sr. I don't know who else, just some other randos that we don't really know. And we see Bill. Bill has emerged from his coffin, none the worse for wear. He tells Joe Gorga, I can take whatever you throw at me. Yeah, he didn't look like that earlier in the day. But when Joe Gorga suggests that they do some more shots, Bill's out. Everyone's kind of milling around, really waiting for Melissa to show up. So when she gets there, everyone's like, I want to hear. And they've all gathered around out in the backyard. And Melissa said, well, it was very informative. And I don't think you're going to like it, she says to Teresa. And Teresa's holding a drink and she's like, okay, just tell me, what did she say? Now, the camera does keep cutting back to Teresa as that smile kind of fades. She gets a real frozen look on her face. You know, the wheels are turning, but how quickly they turn in Teresa's brain, that's up for debate. So Melissa tells them that Danielle said Stephen Dan is the one that told her to pull Margaret's ponytail. And everyone's like, what? To me, it looks like Teresa looks like she might be dodging a bullet. Like for a minute there, she might be hopeful that Danielle has only called out Stephen Dan. But all the others are like, that's ridiculous. And Margaret goes, why would he do that? Stephen Dan has nothing against me. Why would he do that? That makes no sense. All the ladies are like, she's crazy. She's a liar. This is what Danielle does. And they're just going on and on about how ludicrous it is that Danielle has thrown Stephen Dan under the bus as he's the one that told her to do it. Except for Teresa. Now you can see that Teresa is sort of processing the fact that Melissa prefaced this with, you're not going to like this. Teresa's kind of like, okay, go on, Melissa said. And she said that she hesitated, and then she told Teresa, and Teresa told her, go ahead and do it. Well, now we've got these like gaping, shocked expressions on these women. Margaret immediately looks at Teresa and said, I don't believe her. You would never do that to me, and I don't believe her for a second. Dolores jumps on that and said, it's Danielle 101. She's making up stories as she goes along. Everyone's shocked. Teresa looks stunned, and she said that? And Melissa goes, yeah. Is she lying? Now there is like a pause that feels like it went on forever. And the camera is on Teresa's face. And she said, I remember her saying something to me, but we were all drinking a lot that day. And everything happened so fast. Yeah. I mean, nobody. Jennifer's standing next to her, and Jennifer's like, speechless. Everybody is speechless. Margaret finally gains her composure, and she said, I'm a little freaked out. I'm not going to lie. Why would you do that? You told her to hurt me? You're a asshole. And she kind of like turns around. The part of this that is so unbelievable to me and really kind of pissed me off is that this has turned into Teresa. Now can you see how Danielle turned against you? Teresa, Danielle threw you under the bus. How can you still like her? This is what she does to people. Like, are we making Teresa the victim here? How is this happening? How did it jump to that? How is nobody at least spending a minute, other than Margaret, to say, Teresa, what is wrong with you? No, we are immediately jumping to, we hate Danielle, she is to blame for this. This is becoming a story of Danielle's betrayal of Teresa. And not Teresa told Danielle, yeah, go ahead and pull Margaret's hair. How is that part of the story getting lost in all this? I don't know. This is where we're at, though. Dolores says to Teresa, you've been going to bat for Danielle since day one, and look at what she does to you. Okay, you guys, this is so good. Teresa goes, well, I mean, I feel bad. And she's standing there. She does look sick to her stomach. I'll give her that. But then, in this hilarious breaking of the fourth wall, Teresa said, I hope they don't use this. Oh, are you kidding me? Bravo pans out to where the group is standing in the backyard, and around the group, they are surrounded by cameramen. There's got to be like 8 or 10 of them all around them. And Teresa is hoping they don't use that. Oh, God. Like, could she be that dumb? That is the best thing that happened all season. And that is one of the better storylines of any franchise. I'm sorry. This season of New Jersey is, I've said it before, but it is really elevating itself. It's coming close to New York. I mean, nothing will ever touch New York, but it is coming close. And Teresa is hoping they won't use that footage that makes her look bad. It was just, I mean, I literally laughed out loud because she goes, I feel bad. I hope they don't use this. And Melissa goes, oh, they're going to use it. Anyway, so I guess because it is dawning on Teresa that, yes, they probably are going to use it, and she's surrounded by cameramen, she handles it very maturely. And she said, well, I'm going to take responsibility for my part in this, and I'm going to have a conversation with Margaret. Just kidding. She acts like a little baby who doesn't like that she got caught, and she turns and flips off the cameraman. Dolores is standing next to her, and she says to Teresa, and now you've gone and hurt somebody who did nothing to you. Which is the biggest admonishment that Teresa has gotten throughout this whole thing, if you can even call it that. So Teresa, who is holding a red Solo cup of whatever, turns to the camera. Like I said, Dolores is right next to her, and whips it at the camera. You can hear it like bouncing off of something, and Dolores goes, oh, because Dolores was in direct line of the spray. Do you think that would piss Dolores off? Yeah, I would think that too, but absolutely not, because it was Teresa that did it. And Teresa gets a pass, God only knows why, but nobody ever gets mad at her for anything she does. She throws water on Jennifer's designer skirt, you know, just to prove a point. Jennifer doesn't retaliate or even get mad at her in any way. And now she's throwing water, or even the whole cup she throws at the cameras in line with Dolores. Dolores gets all wet, you know. She just paid to have her makeup and hair done before this party. She can't be thrilled about that. If the exact same thing happened, but the person throwing that cup was Danielle, you'd never hear the end of it from Dolores. But because it was Teresa, that goes nowhere. We never hear another word about it. She understands. Teresa was upset. I don't know, man. Anyway, Teresa goes storming off. On her way, she swipes all the cups off of a table where the guys are sitting, and they're like, what the... And she goes up the stairs and into the house with a cameraman hot on her heels, opens the door. You're all fucking assholes. I'm getting out of here. And goes up to her room. Yes, like she is the wronged party in all of this. So yeah, I guess Teresa doesn't like getting caught after all. All right, so unbelievably to me, although I guess I should believe it, Jennifer and Dolores are on Teresa's side, and they go after her, and she's kind of locked herself in the bedroom, and Jennifer's knocking on the door, and she's like, no, go away. She won't talk to them. So they're just like sitting out in the hall now. In Melissa's confessional, she tells us, Teresa doesn't like being told when she's wrong. Oh, God, do you think? And Dolores is almost kind of proud of Teresa for not denying it, for admitting that she did do it. Is this how low we've set the bar, people? First of all, I agree. I actually was a little surprised that Teresa didn't try to deny it. But we might be giving her a little bit too much credit for not denying it. What I mean is, I don't think she's that quick. I don't think she knew this was coming. I don't think she ever thought Danielle was going to turn on her. And caught off guard, can Teresa really talk her way out of something? So the fact that she admitted it might just be because she couldn't think of anything else to say. Anyway, it turns out that Melissa is the only one who knows how to manipulate Teresa enough to get her out of the room. Because now Melissa comes up and she knocks on the door and she's like, don't run away. And Teresa from inside goes, I'm not running away. I just need to cool off. Okay, so this is probably something her probation officer taught her. If you find yourself in a heated situation, leave the room, go cool off, which is great advice, actually. She did the right thing. Could she maybe have done it without knocking all the cups off of a table and throwing her drink at a cameraman? Yeah, I mean, maybe. Maybe. But, you know, baby steps. Anyway, so like I said, Melissa was pretty smart about this because she came from a place of sympathy and empathy, and she said, listen, I know you just want to have fun, Teresa, and you're going through so much stuff at home. Nobody can really understand what that's like and how hard that is. But Danielle is not helping you out. Being around her is causing you to make bad choices, and that's not good for you. Let's blame Teresa's free will on Danielle. And then just to like send it home, she tells her, you're putting your trust in the wrong person. Then you can hear Dolores in the hall going, she's a fucking rat, and she's going to bring you down with her. Teresa, the way you rectify this is you apologize to Margaret and you never talk to Danielle again. Then you hear click, the door opens. Yeah, maybe you did me a favor by talking to Danielle. Maybe she is just a rat. Okay. So this is what Teresa can get behind. You guys were right. Danielle is evil. Now I see it because look at what she did to me. I feel like I'm in Twilight Zone, you guys. Am I the only one that is like finding this whole thing incredulous? I'm just watching this person weasel out of something so effortlessly. Wait, she's not even doing it. Somehow all of her friends around her are coming up with all these alibis and reasons and excuses of why it's not her fault. And she's like, yeah, you guys are right. It isn't my fault. You know, it's like, it's insane. She is just like a little brat who, you know, does something wrong and then goes and hides in her room because she's embarrassed. And then, you know, everyone around her comes up with a reason why it's not her fault so that she can save face and come out. Oh, God. I don't know if I'm impressed by how this whole thing is working out. How can I get my friends to do that? Or if I'm just like horrified by it all. Kind of horrified. She admits that she was angry with Margaret. She was mad that Margaret poured the water on her, and she was proud of Danielle for standing up for herself. It's a side note, when has Danielle not stood up for herself? If you guys can come up with a time that Danielle was some shrinking violet, let me know in the comments, because I've never known her to not stand up for herself. Meanwhile, downstairs, Joe Gorga is talking to Margaret, and he's like, you two, you're good friends. You should talk. And Margaret's like, I'm not going to go to her. Why would I go to her? And Joe said, no, you're right. I'm not saying that. I'll go get her. So now he goes up to the hallway where Teresa is, and he tells her to go talk to Margaret. And she goes, nah, I don't want to do that. I'm just going to leave. Everyone's telling her you should talk to Margaret. So she agrees to do that, but she doesn't want to do it in front of everyone. And she asked Joe if he would go down and have her meet her on the front porch so that they could talk alone. So he leaves to go do that. Meanwhile, Teresa calls Danielle on the phone. And she said, Melissa just told me what you said to her. Danielle's like, oh, Teresa, don't be mad. And she's like, I am mad because now Margaret's gonna think that I told you to hurt her. Kinda. I mean, you did tell her to hurt her, but Teresa could think that all I wanted her to do was give it a little yank for fun or the cameras or whatever. I didn't know she was gonna grab it and drag her halfway across the store, causing her whiplash. Yes, maybe you didn't know that, but it's kind of like giving a loaded gun to somebody who's unstable. You knew the potential was there for someone to get hurt. So Danielle said, but you agreed to it. Teresa, I didn't agree to you attacking somebody. Plus, what did I tell you afterwards? And Danielle goes, you said I shouldn't have done it after all. So basically, Teresa, God. You guys, if I just told you what the conversation was and you didn't know who I was talking about, you would never believe that this was two women in their 40s. Because Teresa's like, I don't want to be friends with you anymore. Oh, come on, Tree, I love you. Come on, don't let this get between us. Yeah, now I can't be around you anymore. I don't want to be your friend anymore. Oh, God, what grown women say that? So, yeah, Teresa breaks up with her and hangs up on her. And then she goes down to the front porch to talk with Margaret. It doesn't start off great because Teresa just tells her, I don't know what to say. And Margaret's like, yeah, I don't know what to say either. And to be honest with you, I'm freaking out right now. Teresa, yeah, I'm freaking out too. But eventually she does get an I'm sorry out. It feels pretty sincere to me. Although, what do I know? I know nothing anymore, you guys. But Margaret, to her credit, wants to know if Teresa is sorry because she told Danielle to hurt her or because she got caught. And she said, of course, it's, I'm sorry that Danielle did that. And she does say, I didn't want her to hurt you. And Margaret's like, well, but you did tell her to pull my hair. I mean, did you think that wouldn't hurt? Like, I know what she means. She didn't think it would go as far as it went, maybe. But she still said, yeah, go ahead and pull her hair. So, that wasn't a good thing. Teresa said, I never should have said that. And Margaret said, I can't believe you did. Teresa, did you see my gut reaction? It was to defend you because I never thought you would have said that. Margaret then kind of suggests that maybe she cares more about the friendship than Teresa does. But Teresa does, like I said, she apologizes again. And Margaret just said, okay, Teresa. She said, I'm going to have to process it. And Teresa said, yeah, take all the time you need. Teresa did tell her that she broke up with Danielle. She said, that's why I told Danielle I never want to talk to her again. I think that meant something to Margaret because, she did soften. She just said, I'm going to need to process it. But if I'm Margaret, I don't want to be friends with Teresa anymore. After this, yeah, I think we'd be done too. If I were Margaret, I'd be like, okay, I accept your apology, but we're over. Margaret leaves to go process. And she goes into the kitchen where all the other ladies are waiting and wondering how it went. Teresa is still sitting on the front porch. And so they're talking about it a little bit. And she ends by saying she told Danielle she never wants to talk to her again. So everybody's cheering and happy because of that, ding dong, the Wicked Witch is dead. They all go out into the yard and toast. And then we get the final little wrap-ups for each woman. Like I said, this is a little unorthodox because we're only halfway through the show. So we start with Jackie's. Jackie's twins, Alexa and Hudson, turned 9. They celebrated by going out to dinner and a movie with friends. Jennifer was not invited. Stupid. The next one is Jennifer. Jennifer is trying to convince Bill to buy a Hamptons house. She loves the idea of collecting rent, but not the idea of being neighbors with Jackie. They don't get much better, folks. Next is Dolores's. David's house is completed, but now he's living with Dolores and Frank. What? It says Dolores can't get him to move out, ... or give her a ring. What is going on there? I guess I was wrong because I thought when that house was finished, he was going to propose. I really did, even though I teased about him being gay. His house is finished, but he's living in Dolores and Frank's house? What? Why? That's weird. Next is Melissa's. Melissa and Joe recently hired an au pair. Now Melissa has more time to focus on Envy. Joe wishes she had more time to focus on Tarzan. Oh. Okay, this one pisses me off the most. Because not only are you basically admitting that her whole I want to have another baby storyline was a big fat lie that was, I don't know what, to make Melissa relevant, to give her a storyline. It was the dumbest storyline ever. None of us believed it. It got all wrapped up so easily at the end. And now you're telling us not only does she not have a new baby, but they hired an au pair to take care of the kids so that she could be at Envy more? What? That's like a 180 from what she wanted. Okay, so you don't have a little baby at home anymore. Well, you could still maybe spend less time at Envy and more time with the 3 children that you do have. But no. Not only do I not have a baby, but now I'm going to have somebody else take care of you guys so that I could be at the store more. It just... that one makes me mad. And just for the record, I'm not mad that she wants to spend more time on her career. That's great. Whatever a woman wants to do, whatever fulfills her, is ultimately what's going to be best for her family as well. That is my belief. An unhappy stay-at-home mother creates unhappy children. I don't have any issue with her hiring an au pair and working more. My issue is that you acted like you wanted to be at home with another baby, and how obvious it is that that was us being manipulated all season. Then we have Margaret's. Margaret settled with Vineyard Vines. She finally feels ready to kickstart her home renovation. Now she just needs to kickstart her husband. I mean, that one was fine. I'm glad the lawsuit is over. Okay, now here's where things are a little bit different than we've ever done before. Because now the camera is on Teresa, who is still on the front porch, just rocking away, all alone. And she gives out this big audible sigh. And then we see 5 months later. And for those keeping track, this is probably where the vacation budget went, because we're all going to Italy. The cast gets to go to the Jersey Shore, and Teresa and her girls get to go to Italy. Whatever. So we start off by seeing the episode of Watch What Happens Live when Teresa and Joe were on, and Joe was there via satellite. And that's when they talked about how, yes, she and the girls are going to go to Italy and visit him. So now we're on the plane, and the girls are, sleeping on the plane. That's how I want to travel on a plane, by the way. I want one of those seats that fully flattens out into a bed. They've got their pillows and their little pod. They're like in their own little pod. I love that. Okay, so they get there. Joe is living in Sala Consolina, which is the hometown that he grew up in. He's living in his grandmother's house. She still lives there, and he's got other family members that are still in the neighborhood. It is so beautiful. They have to walk up all these steps to get to the little cobblestone street that the house is on. And Joe emerges out of these beaded curtains out to meet them. It's so surreal looking. It looks like he belongs there, but also it just feels so weird and out of place. I can't explain it. Anyway, the girls see him, go running up to him. Well, not Teresa and Gabrielle. I'm not saying, I know she loves her daddy. I'm just saying she's much more reserved than the others. She does hug him, of course. He's hugging all 4 of them and kissing them, and it's very, very sweet. So his aunts and uncles and cousins, they all came to the house because they knew Teresa and the girls were coming. So they all come out and greet them, and everybody's kissing and hugging, and they go in the house to have what looks like a delicious meal. Homemade pastas and all kinds of yummy stuff. It's an interesting side of Teresa too. I don't know if she seems less dumb because she speaks fluent Italian. I don't know. And I'm envious of that because I've always wanted to speak a foreign language. I tried for a little while to learn Italian on one of these apps and stuff, but I kind of gave it up. And, you know, unless you are around someone like Nono, like family, that she has been around all the time, unless you're around someone that's constantly teaching you or able to converse with you, it's very, very hard. You know, when I watched this, I have to say I was fighting back the tears. Because if you forget for a minute the reason that the family is in this situation that they're in, all you see is a dad who is just yearning for his children and little girls who miss their daddy so much. He just keeps kissing them and hugging them, and it's like he can't hug them enough. Like, I could feel that. I could feel that he just couldn't hold them enough for how much he ached for them. It's just like a knife in the heart, you know? It was absolutely tearing me apart. Okay, so after this delicious meal with his family, they drive to the hotel that Teresa and the girls are staying at. So Gia and Gabriella are in a room. Melania is in her own room. And Teresa is in a room with Adriana. And Joe goes in the room with them, and he's talking to Teresa while she's unpacking. He said something like, remembering what it's like with the girls, with Gabriella. He kind of yelled at her about something. And she said, Joe, I deal with this every day. The girls are just tired. And he's like, no, I know. And he said, so I'm going to have to go back to the house and get my stuff. And Teresa said, are you staying at the hotel? You want to spend the night with the girls? And he said, well, all the beds are tiny. Teresa, did you expect to sleep with me? And Joe's like, well, we got 20 years in this marriage. And she's like, I know, but like I haven't seen you in almost 4 years. It's kind of weird, right? And he goes, yeah, I guess. So she basically sends him off. He looks pretty dejected. And she goes, so you're just going to come back in the morning and then pick us up? And he goes, yeah, I'll see you in the morning. Okay, so he's back the next morning and they are all heading to the Amalfi Coast. Joe says hello to Gia and she's like, hi, Dad. And then he looks at Teresa and he goes, look at you in your skin-tight jeans. You got some nice curves going on there. Nothing from her. They're only there a few days, I should point out. And so the whole time you see Joe making an effort to be affectionate with Teresa, to talk to her, to be with her. He wants to, you know, see what happens. They're in a jewelry store at one point and she's at the counter and she's picking things out. And he comes up behind her and puts his arm around her and he goes, what are you buying? And she's like, I'm just getting these for the girls. And then he sees something in the case and he goes, do you like those? Earrings or something. And she goes, no, and pulls away from him. So, I mean, he's trying, but she is not having it. Not at all. And, you know, she said, when I get there, I don't know, like if I feel like running into his arms and kissing him and being with him again, maybe I'll feel that way. Well, I guess she didn't, because that is not... She doesn't want him to touch her, and that's clear, and it's super awkward. I mean, listen, I'm totally on her side. Here's the thing. She's got so much underlying resentment and anger toward him. He never apologized for everything that went on. Let's not forget, she blames him for the fact that she lost 11 months of time with her mother. It was only a few months after Teresa got out of prison that her mother passed away. So those 11 months that Teresa was away, she could have spent with her mom. She blames Joe for all of that, for getting her into the trouble she got into, even though, yes, I know she's an adult woman, should have been more aware of what he was up to and what they were doing. She signed things that were put in front of her. I don't give her a pass for that. I'm just saying I do believe she didn't know what she was signing because, yeah, it's Teresa. Doesn't mean she shouldn't take responsibility. But all I'm saying is she's got a huge amount of resentment toward this guy. She's also coming to terms with what a crappy husband he's been the whole time leading up to that. Let's not forget his private conversation that was mic'd when they were at the vineyard and he called her the C word to whoever he was talking to. So we have that whole thing. She now tells us that she found a burner phone and he was talking to a woman when Gia was 3 years old. So, I mean, there's a whole series of stuff like that. He used to treat her like crap. He spoke to her very disrespectfully. I mean, it was just, if you're feeling sorry because this guy's putting his arm around her and he's trying to make amends, don't. It's over. He doesn't even deserve her. Where I think this whole thing went wrong is that Teresa should have just been very clear from the start. I want this to be over. And maybe she really did think, I don't know, maybe when I see him, I'll fall in love with him all over again. I don't think she really did think that, but maybe she did. But the second she realized I don't feel that way, she should have had a conversation with him that first night. You know, this isn't going to happen. We'll be cordial for the girls, but don't think something's going to happen between us because we're done. That might have made it less awkward because, you know, come on. You think Gia doesn't notice or any... They were in the car on the way there and they saw this like beautiful rainbow, super vibrant rainbow. And they had a driver. But then in the next row, it was Joe, Gia, and Teresa. Gia was sitting between them and the other girls were in the back. Joe reached behind Gia to kind of rub Teresa's arm. And there was all these gestures of, you know, affection that he was making toward her, and she just pull away. She didn't want it. I know Gia saw that, and I know the girls are noticing it. So how about you just like get everything out in the open? Don't make it awkward for the girls. All right, so now they're having dinner together, and it's their last night there. They're having fun and talking, and Teresa asked everyone, you know, what was the best part of the trip for you? And Melania said, well, getting to hug my dad, of course. Well, that gets Joe crying. That gets Melania crying. Everyone now at the table is crying. Gia is a mess. Adriana is crying. That kills me. That little kid kills me. And Gabriella, she's at the end. She's turning her head away from the camera. This kid doesn't want to be on camera. But yeah, she's got her head turned away because she's crying. It was just a mess. Joe promises that, you know, he's going to keep the family together and you'll come see me as much as you want and all that. Okay. You're going to keep the family together. They're in America and you're in Italy. Here's my question for you guys that know the law. He talked about how he had to get a new, like, I don't know, ID cards and passport and stuff like that. So if he has a passport, is he allowed to go everywhere else in the world other than the US? Because couldn't he move to like a city in Canada that's just a few hours away from New Jersey? And then the girls could see him often, I would think. I don't know. Maybe he can't live in Canada. All right. So like I said, every single one of them is crying, even Teresa. So now it's late. They get back to the hotel. The girls go to their rooms because they're leaving early in the morning. And Joe is sitting on the couch in Teresa's room. They're both on the couch and they're going to have a little heart-to-heart talk about their marriage. Teresa asks Joe to go first, and he's like, well, I mean, you know, I guess we just, you know, we'll just meet wherever we can and we'll have fun together. And she's like, but Joe, we're in different countries. And he's like, I know. You think I don't know that? There's nothing I can do about that. We just have to wait on this last appeal. So he still has another appeal going that hasn't been decided yet. Teresa tells him she doesn't want that. She wants someone that she lives with every day. And that's when he was like, yeah, well, we'll just have to see what happens with this appeal. And she said, okay, so we just have to wait until then. And Joe's like, yeah, who knows? Maybe it'll make our relationship stronger. Teresa asks him to please stop twirling his wine. And he's like, that's what you're supposed to do. And she's like, I know, but can you just stop? Because, like, you're not paying attention to me. And he goes, you have to do that to see if it still has legs. And she goes, yeah, you could look at me. I have legs. It's becoming clear to Joe, finally, that every single little thing he does is annoying the crap out of Teresa. And he finally said, so, you want to end this now? And Teresa goes, I mean, do you want me to lie to you? Yeah. He goes, so I guess that's it then. Teresa, Never in a million years would I want to hurt you. You know that, right? I want you to be happy endlessly. And Joe said, yeah, well, I want the same for you. Listen, I'm going to go spend the night with my girls. And she said, okay. And they both got up and hugged, probably for the last time. Now it's 3 a.m. Teresa's alarm goes off. She's in bed with Adriana and she wakes her up and they have to leave to get to the airport. And there are more tearful goodbyes. Gut-wrenching, you guys. It's just really, really hard to watch. And now we get Teresa's little final wrap-up. And it says, Teresa and Joe announced their separation after 20 years of marriage. Their daughters spent Christmas with Joe in Italy. They are still waiting for a decision on his appeal. So, I mean, it would be weird if he could come back now, wouldn't it? I mean, it would be good for the girls, let's face it. But I can't imagine that they would get back together as a couple, right? Anyway, that wraps up season 10. Oh, you guys, it was good, wasn't it? It was so good. I never know how a season's going to shake out at the beginning. I don't know about you, but I'm particularly excited about these reunions because Margaret and Teresa haven't really spoken since, Margaret's processing things. So I feel like this will be the first time for her, confronting Teresa about what she did. I can only imagine that Danielle will be part of the reunion, I hope. I'd like to hear what she has to say. All along, I have believed that those two had dirt on each other. So if they ever finally turn, I think there would be a lot of stuff. Yeah, and that would be fun to find out. But so that'll be good. I'm excited for that. And reunion part 1 should be next week. So I hope you guys will join me. Please subscribe to Jill Informed if you haven't already. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Don't forget to leave a comment down below. I asked you guys a lot of questions. If you have the answers, put them down there. Also, I just want to know what you guys think. What did you think of the season? What did you guys think of the community center version of A Marriage Story? I'm so curious. I always want to know. All right. Thank you guys very, very much. I will see you next week for the next recap of The Real Housewives of New Jersey. Bye.